Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in again. Today we are going to be upgrading the Raptor lights. If you follow the channel, or maybe you don't, you might have seen the video anyways. A while back I posted a video showing that when the Raptor lights turn on, you can see that middle one's kind of going crazy. It just doesn't go as bright as the rest anymore, and it's been failing more and more every time it turns on. So the time has come to replace them. These are the cheap Amazon ones. I've had them for probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years, if that, and they're already failing. So everybody in the comments said, do the Z1 lights, which right here is what we got. So today we're going to be installing from Z1 Off-Road their amber grill lights, Raptor lights, whatever you want to call them. They do make a white version now for the Frontier. I'm not sure if it's for the 23. Mine's a 23. So the 22 to 24, I'm not sure. But definitely the 25 and up, you can get a white version as well. Personally, I don't think the white looks as good. I'm an amber guy. But if you are, they do make that option for you. And again, you can also get the kit where you can actually replace the side markers with a light as well. I plan on changing the fender flares altogether, so I'm not going to do that, but I will show you kind of a quick run through of how to do it if you're installing both. And Z1 Off-Road also has a pretty good install video on their channel of the whole kit. If you want a little bit of a closer look, you can go and check out that one. All right, a quick little rundown of what comes with the kit, and they make it super simple. So this is like a 1 on a scale of 1 to 10 for install. It's super easy, just with a couple hand tools. The wiring harness here, everything is done for you. You can see all the connectors and everything are all pre-wired. Comes with the wire loom around it so it doesn't get destroyed by the weather. Everything is just plug and play once it's in place. Again, with the other end, you have your add fuse already connected. You don't have to crimp or wire anything. And it comes pre-installed with a 5-amp fuse, depending where you want to plug that in. And I'll show you and explain it a little better once I get in the truck. They also send you out extra fuses. So you got a 7.5, a 10, and a 15. So if you don't want to use a 5-amp spot, you can use the other fuses and it's going to work pretty much wherever you want to plug it in. And then as well, they got the little tip already put on there so you can ground it. And then you get your 4 lights. And again, this, once it's all in place, will just push and click and you're done. It's going to be working and it's all wired together. And you have your 3 little rubber rings on here. So it's going to be waterproof, sealed tight. You're not going to have to worry about gunk and water and grime getting in there and short-circuiting anything. And then to go with the lights, you get your 4 mounting brackets. This is what the bracket looks like. You have a 2 little studs on there. If you look on the light, you got 2 holes, 1, 2. That'll mount onto those 2 studs. In your package, you got 2 tiny little nuts. I'm not sure what size they are yet. I'll get to that when I get to it. 2 little thumb screws go in the holes up there. That's what actually holds this onto your grill. And then each one comes with a tiny little zip tie, just to make everything look pretty once it's in there. All right, so first things first, we need to get the grill off. So you need to get this little plastic shroud off. You just have push tabs. You get a little pry tool or a flathead, pop those up. You got 6 all the way across. That'll get out of the way. And then if you come to this side, you have little screws, 1, 2, 3 on the other side. Undo those. They're a torque 20-bit. So if you got a torque 20-bit, take those off. This plastic piece will get out of the way. Don't mind this. This is my air chuck for my compressor. Yours won't have that unless you have your compressor installed exactly like I do. All right, so once you got the push tabs and those 3 screws out, all that's left, if you look under here, these little plastic flaps, let's call them. You want to pull that up, and I can't film and do this because I need 2 hands, but just lift it and pull out, and the plastic piece will come away from your grill, and then that whole shroud is out of the way, and you can get to the grill portion underneath of it. All right, so now that that piece is out of the way, I'm just going to leave it attached because I don't want to deal with the hose, but you can just pull it out of the way, And if you look down on the bottom, you can see 1, 2, 3, come to that side, 4, 5, 6, little push tabs, same as the ones that line up here. So what you want to do, get your hand here. I've already got this side done, it's loose. It'll feel and sound like you're breaking it, but you're not. Just get a good grip on the corner and pull out. You'll hear that pop. Now the top clip is let go. You can reach your hand in there, push those tabs up, pull on the bottom. Same thing, the whole grill will just pop right out of there. So now, once you have the grill off, you can take a little bit of a closer look. Those are the tabs I was talking about. They plug in here. You can't see it, but there's notches here. So again, you just kind of squeeze. You can see, goes up and pull out at the same time. And then those are the two clips that make it sound like you're breaking things when you're pulling it out. So last thing, depending what your truck is equipped with, under here, we have the camera. So squeeze and wiggle. You may need 2 hands for these, especially if they're dirty. And then you have your front sensor here. And then for mine, I'm replacing it, so I just snipped the old wire right off, because you can see just how much of a big ugly rat nest it is under here with these lights. Alright, so now that we got the old stuff out of the grill, you want to assemble your bracket and the light. So there's not really a top or a bottom to this. You can see it does say DOT SAE, so it's approved. And then this little tab is the top of your bracket. But for the light itself, there's not really a top and bottom. But what I do recommend is, you can see these lights have a natural curve with the wires. It wants to go upwards. So when it's on the grill, you want it to point upwards. It'll make your life a little bit easier trying to hide wires and stuff, because if it's pointing down, the pressure's always going to want to be going that direction. And then once it's on your grill, you don't want to see any of the wires hidden behind there. So when it's already pointing up, and then this sits inside your grill in there, it's going to be easier to hide your harness and all the plugs and stuff up above, and you won't see wires dangling in between the spots that won't have a light in them. So again, you'll just put the light through there, your 2 little studs, get your nuts, tighten them down, don't go crazy with it. You need a 7/32 socket. Is the size of the nuts that Z1 sends out. And again, don't go crazy on it. This is steel, but the light itself is a plastic backing, and you do not want to break that. So if you're worried about it coming off, put a little tiny dab of blue Loctite or something on there and tighten it down. But do not go crazy on them. Just hand tight is more than enough, and it won't go anywhere. Then what you want to do, you got your 2 threaded holes up there. We have our 2 thumb screws. You want to put them in there just so they're started. You don't want it to go through all the way yet, because once your thumb screws are on there, what's going to happen, and now I'm going to put it in spot 1, 3, and then same on the other side. First spot, second, you can pick and choose how you want. I'm going to go that route. And then with your thumb screws in there, this will just pop over. So you can see it sits over the plastic, and then you'll tighten your thumb screws. All right, so once you got them all built and put in place, last thing you want to do is look in here, because you can kind of see the gap from one side to the other. But if you look up here, it's way further to the right here than it is to the left. So don't center it on this necessarily, because it's just a plastic mold and it's not going to be 100%. So look through there, get it so the light looks like it's sitting in the middle. Do that across, all the same. You can see this one is kind of touching here, but it's got a little gap there. They move easy enough. So get it centered. Then all you gotta do is twist your thumb screws down. And again, it's biting into plastic. You don't have to go crazy on it. If you're worried it's gonna come loose or come undone, crank them down by hand. Get a little pair of pliers or something and just give it one little twist, and that'll be enough to make it bite into the plastic, and you won't have to worry about those ever coming undone. All right, so once you got them all snugged down and centered where you want them, you plug in your wiring harness. Now it's as easy as just push until it clicks. So So you can see this one has the little tab on your harness. You have the little notch there, or the little bump. Put them together. If I can do this with one hand, like such. Give it a push until you hear the click, and make sure that goes under the tab. Now they're locked and they will not come undone. This portion, if you're doing the side markers with it, instead of one, you're going to have two here. You're going to come to the other side and you're going to have two here. So now you would plug one into your light and the other one would plug into the harness, which will go down to your driver's side. And same with this one, we'll have two. Plug it into the harness, will go down to your driver's side. And then that is what would plug into your side marker lights if you change out the reflectors as well. Then you would just run the wiring up, and again, the plug would be right there. And then same on the driver's side, you would run it down to that side, plug it in, and it's just one more connection. It's as easy as that. All right, now for the most tedious part of this whole thing, not necessarily the hardest, but it's going to be these little zip ties. If you look on the light bracket, the one that mounts, they all have the little oval loop on top. That is where your zip tie will go through. So you can see here, what I'm going to do is tuck the main wire behind the thumb screw, because all your wiring's going that way, and then get your zip tie through there. Don't pull it so hard that there's no slack in the light. I'm actually going to pull this back a little bit before I tighten it, because you want to have some slack here just to let it relax. You don't want to kink your wires over tight and leave it like that over time. It's going to damage the wires and the light will burn out after a while. But the trick for these, put it behind there. I'm going to see if I can do this with one hand and film. Get it in the hole and then kind of wiggle. And you can see it's going to go up and just follow the natural curve of the grill. Then you're obviously going to need two hands with something this little tiny, but grab the tip, put it together, tighten it a bit, and then you can see this one actually has enough of a loop there already, so I can snug it down. And then just by default, doing it this way, your harnesses and then the wire loom portion and all that is going to be up. That's why I mentioned before, when you put your lights in, to have that natural curve going up. That'll keep it up towards the top. And you go all the way across, strap them all down, and then your harness will go towards your battery after. And then when it's all said and done, you can see everything's strapped. They all have a little loop in them for some slack. All your extra wire is being forced upwards, so it's not going to droop down, and you'll see no wiring through the extra holes in your grill whatsoever. And then this is now dropped down to the driver's side, or passenger side, sorry. So we'll get this grill back on the truck and I'll show you where to feed that and how to hook it up properly. All right, now that the lights are in there, all that's left to do is power the thing up. So what you got to do is run your wire up to your fuse box, because you're going to use to add a fuse to gain power to this thing. Now, what I recommend, because it comes out obviously on the passenger side, tuck it down there. Go under this little cross piece here, go up and just follow along behind your water tank or your windshield washer fluid around. And then for the ground, I'm going to ground it right to this 10 mil. I already have it loose. That's where I had the old lights ground to as well. You can ground it there. It's not going to hurt anything. And then fuse wise, what I was going to do, because if you look in here, right here, I have an add a fuse for my aux beam switch panel. Now, I like my lights to turn on when the headlights turn on, but a lot of you guys want this thing to turn on when the power's on. So when the truck's running, you want to have the lights on. So I'm going to wire it up that way for these lights, just for you guys. And I'll show you where to plug this in, because I have to double check myself which one's which. Because a lot of these things, even though the truck is off, they still have power flowing to them. So if you plug it into one that's just easy to find, say you plug it into the first one right here, the truck may be off, everything's powered down, But these lights, because they're connected to the fuse, are going to keep getting power and they're not going to shut off, which over time will drain your battery. So obviously we don't want that. So you want to find one that will work when the truck is on, they turn on. When the truck is off, they turn off. All right, now I know the wiring stuff scares a lot of people, but I'm going to explain these add a fuses, and it's exactly that. You're adding a fuse. So you can see right now we have the 5 amp fuse in there. These lights will run off 5 amp. They do not drain or take a lot of power to light them up at all. That's more than enough to run it. So what you're doing is you need to plug this in to get power to the lights. So for example, say we take this blue 15 amp fuse out and we use that to power the lights. So you put the 15 amp in the extra slot here. Now whatever that 15 amp is running is obviously made and designed to blow the breaker at 15 amps. So when you have a 15 and now a 5, you don't count it as a 20 amp. What's going to happen is if that thing surges and you get more than the 15, it's going to blow the 15 and it's going to blow the 5. Not a big deal. That's how it's designed to work. What you don't want to do is if it was opposite, say the 5 was in there and you're putting a 15 in, now whatever's designed to blow at that 5 amps has a 15 amp plugged in next to it. So when the surge came and it blew that 5 amp like it's supposed to, now your 15 amp is still powering. So you're going to have triple what that amperage is supposed to be blowing the fuse at, and whatever it's running is going to be toast. So you can either go lower or the same. So you could have a 15 here and a 15 in the extra spot, or 15 and 10, 15 and 5, and so forth. But you do not want to have a 15 amp fuse in the truck and throw a 20 amp fuse in here, because now if something happens, this 20 amp isn't going to blow until 20 amps. So you still have that circuit. So don't go higher, but you can go lower, and it's not going to wreck anything. You can plug it into anything, safety-wise, lighting-wise, whatever. It's not going to wreck it as long as you do it like that. And then again, you can also, some people say, well, why use the add a fuse at all? You can trim the wires, and honestly, you can plug it around the prongs in the fuse and plug it in, and it's going to run it. But now, if you do it that way, say you're plugged into that same 15 amp fuse, if this thing's drawing 5 amps, then if whatever that 15 is running, if it, say, surges to, I don't know, say 13, now you're draining that 5 from the lighting, it's going to blow at that 15 or 13 amps instead of the 15, because this is stealing some of the power from it. So that's the whole point of the add a fuse. As long as your amp or your fuse that you're putting in is lower than the one you're sharing the spot with, you're good to go. You can plug it in anywhere and do anything you want with it. All right, so now for everybody's favorite part, the wiring. Now, it's a hot mess in here. I got everything taken out to kind of show you guys what's what, but I'm going to show you both ways. This wire right here, that's my aux beam wire. I have that one installed to come on only when the headlights are on. So when it gets dark and your automatic lights pop on, then my aux beam switch panel pops on. So if I pull that one out to show you guys here, if I can get it, if you look down underneath, you have a 30 amp, a 10 amp, and then that spot was a 10 amp. So like I mentioned with the add a fuse, 10 amp because that's what the spot was, and then 5 amp for my aux beam. And now if you look beside that, where I have the other one plugged in, I got to plug it in a little more. It's not quite all the way in there, but you have 15, 10, 10, and the third one down is another 10. It's for your ABS. Now that will have it so it turns on when the truck's running. So now when I turn the truck on, the lights in the grill will be on 24/7 as long as the engine's running. Lights go on, lights go off, doesn't matter, they're going to stay lit up. So again, third 10 amp fuse down. And now when you pull the fuses out, they are a little bit different. They got these little stubby mini fuses for some reason Nissan's using. But your add a fuse are your regular pronged fuses like such. They do plug in, it does work. It's just a different style of fuse. I don't know why they do that, but they do. So again, you can use this one, which if you look in there down below, it's a 10 amp fuse I pulled out. I switched them both to 10 amp just because it's the braking system. You don't want to have any haywire stuff going on with that. But as long as you plug it into those two spots, that's both your options. Spot on the right turns on as long as the ignition's on. Your spot on the left turns on only when your headlights are on. All right, so there we go. One little final rundown. Once your lights are in, go in reverse for your little shroud up top. Put your 3 tabs on each side back in. You have your 3 screws there that we took out. And then if you look here, that's where your wire loom goes now. And it goes up kind of with the battery. I got a bunch of stuff on this truck, so a lot of these wires won't be there in yours. But kind of go up and beside your overflow for the coolant, behind your washer fluid, and then your negative, like I said, I put right there on that bolt. And then the positive, if you look down right there, I just notched out the corner of the box and fed the positive wire in there with the add-a-fuse. So then if we close this up, so it'll let us start it. All right, we'll move back here. Now, when you start the truck, they'll pop on and you're good to go. Same thing, shut it down, and they turn right off. So before, they wouldn't have come on. So if you plug it into that other section, when you fire the truck up, they're going to stay off until your actual headlights come on. Whereas this, connected to the ABS portion, now comes on as long as the engine's running. But you can see, as soon as it shuts down, they turn off, so it won't kill your battery. All right, here you go. Quick look in the dark. Everything's on. They will now pop on when the truck started and stay on all day. You can see they glow nice and orange up close. I don't know if it'll focus. People were complaining that it's just an LED strip, but when you're looking at them in person, they definitely are nice, bright and orange, even more so during the night. So there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed. Like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more.